Hello and welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rose Gold, International Success Coach. And here at Wealthy Mind, we love to help you create and maintain a wealthy mind. And today we have Rachel back with us again. We're doing a four-part series, so super excited to talk through more of the exit strategies with Rachel. So welcome back.
Thanks, Misty. I know we're both very passionate about getting this information out to business owners, so I'm excited to continue the
Mhm.
conversation.
Yes, passionate is the right word. Most definitely. So tell the audience your full name, please, and who are you with? What do you do?
My name is Rachel Kramarchuk. I am with Carson Wealth. We have an office in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, and I'm a wealth advisor, but I'm focused on business owners, helping them retire. And a big part of that is what are they going to do with their business?
hmm What do we do with this business? So we had at my other mastermind today, the growth strategies mastermind, not exit strategies, but at growth strategies today, we had Skylar Budman, and he is a tax, estate, and business attorney. So it's a favorite topic of a lot of us is what is the proper way to structure the business and the succession planning, and are we going to pass it to a family member? Is that actually a smart play or not? So Skylar brought up a lot of reasons why it can be a really bad business play is just to pass it on to somebody in the family, unless they're prepared for it. Like they know the business and all those things, like that's different. But um, yeah, so we have a lot of different options to dive into today. I'm excited for this conversation. So thank you for coming back and talking with us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
hmm So exit options. Let's talk through different exit options and what do they look like? Because again, a lot of people don't know what is available to them. So let's try to communicate this in a way that the most uninformed person can understand it.
Okay. I think a good place to start is thinking about it from internal options for getting out of your business versus external. So I think about it as, is there somebody you already know that could potentially be a successor? Then that's going to be an internal option. Is it your kids? Is it your
Mhm.
partners or management team? Um, or we'll get into it later, but employees, and there's options for that. Or is it somebody completely removed from the business, often someone you don't know at all, complete third party or a competitor, something like that. So that would be the external options. So I just kind of to start thinking through exit options. I like to start there. Here's some internal options and external options.
Okay, so I wrote down internal first and bullet pointed everything that you said internally. So let's go there first.
Okay.
All right, so internal exit options, kids.
Yeah.
hmm
So this is a very it's an interesting exit option, and I'd be interested to see how my thoughts kind of compare to what you heard
hmm
earlier today.
hmm
But a lot of people want to give it to their kids. I mean, I think it's a legacy thing. They're like, oh, I've built this company. I really want my kids to take it over. About like a common quoted stat is about 30% end up either giving or selling to their kids. Um, and I think that's a lot less than what want to. So I think the first consideration is, do your kids really want to take you over the business? Because I think
hmm
a lot of times they want to build something of their own, and that's what I'm hearing. And I know business brokers are hearing it. Oh, they're hearing, oh, I wanted the client wanted to sell to their kids, but that's not what the kids wanted. So now we're
Mm-hmm.
exploring some other options. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's a first place to start. And we've had those conversations with our clients. So we have a client we're working with right now, and we kind of separated the owner and his child and have talked through like, is this what you want? So that they, don't have the pressure of being together when they have that conversation and think through. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's an evolving conversation. So if you have a good timeline, then you can really figure out if this is a good fit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Skylar brought up something that was really important when thinking about a kid taking over is do they have the right credentials?
Yeah,
Do they
exactly.
have the skill set to take over? Um, or you know what? Another one that we will need to talk about is a spouse. So you have the kids, the business partner, or management team, employees, but also what happens when the spouse inherits the business. That's what Skylar touched on today. So that's
Oh
another
yeah,
one that
yeah,
we'll put down as a bullet point is the spouse. Um, and that is the event of somebody passing away. So
yeah.
that was an interesting topic to cover in the mastermind this morning.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Mm.
I was going to say that next too. Yeah, the first question when you're thinking about transferring it to your children is, do they really want it? The second would
Mm.
be, are they qualified?
Mm.
And if not, how can they become qualified? Excuse me. So the client that I was talking about, they own a home health care company, and the son is considering taking it over, still figuring out if that's what he really wants. But he's worked at a different home health care company separate from his family, and then came to the one that his family owns and has worked in different departments, worked his way through, really understands the business. And so if he does end up taking over, the feeling I get from the employees is that they would trust him. And
Mm.
now, if somebody doesn't have the right experience and they're just going to take over, you might lose key employees because they don't respect the new owner. So I think it's
Mm.
really, really important to do it carefully. And I
Mm.
think, working with someone like you to make sure that they have the leadership skills like years ahead of
Mm.
time would
Mm-hmm.
be very valuable as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, there's the absolute tragedy that happens, especially in the business broker space, where somebody is like coming out of corporate and they want to buy up a business.
Yeah.
And guess what happens? They come in and make all these changes way too fast, and it pisses off everybody that is left behind in the
Yeah.
business. So there's a wisdom that people need to look at if they're going to buy an existing business, or even maybe it's a son that's going to take over, been working in an adjacent, like with a competitor,
Yeah.
but it's still relationship dynamics that you have to look at. It's still new leadership coming in, and are the current employees going to respect said leadership, right? And there's a transition period that happens there. If it's done right, it'll be fine. If it's not, it'll be a disaster. And more times than not, it's an absolute disaster the way that business owners approach it, especially when we're working with the business broker end of things, which for everybody listening is the lower end of the market. So anywhere from 0 to 5 to 10 million is business broker, 5 million to 10 million and up is M&A space. So the M&A space is a bit more careful, and the VCs are very careful about making sure that if they're going to buy a business, the CEO is removable but stays on to help with the transition because they understand that. It's the
Yeah.
business broker space that kind of lacks that wisdom and that awareness. So I just wanted to clarify what we're talking about there.
Yeah. I think yeah, I mean, this could be a separate conversation, and maybe we'll have that at some point. But I do think it's really important how you think about the transition and
Hmm.
to make sure it's successful. And I've
Hmm.
been through it on the employee end a couple of times where
Mm.
private equity group bought out where I was working, and some did it really well, and some did not. So I think,
Mm.
and kind of to your point about you know, coming in and changing too much, acting like a bull in a china shop when you've just been here for a little while, where, this
Hmm.
is where people have been working for 20 years, long tenure there. And those are the people you want to stay. So you don't want to
Hmm.
upset the people that have all the knowledge and experience. And
Yeah. So even if the kid knows the industry and they're taking over, it's still, you need to do it in a way that's not so abrupt and invasive with people because change is difficult for a lot of people to adapt to. So it reminds me of an episode of Yellowstone that I watched last night. I'm obsessed with all the Yellowstone series. I started with 1883 and now I'm working my way through them. So I'm actually to the Yellowstone now. I went from 1883 to 1923. Now I'm on Yellowstone and the episode was like Kevin Costner was training one of his sons to take over and he was talking with Rip, the cowboy boss, right? And he was trying to change things too quickly. And finally, the senior cowboys were just like, just do it the same way it's already been done. And he was like, well, I wanted to do it differently. And they're like, no, don't. Just don't. Do it the same way, right? So it makes me think of that episode when we're talking about this because people are just kind of lost. They're like, but this is the direction we learn. This is what we know how to do. And if you try to change everything, it really messes up people mentally. So
yeah,
yeah, so take a page from Yellowstone for the Yellowstone buffs out there. Like, don't try to change
take your
everything
time. Yeah,
instantly, right? You have to earn respect as a leader. It's not automatically given because you're paying their paycheck.
yeah,
So there's a fine line there. It's like, yeah, you're paying their paycheck and you can tell them what to do, but you're going to be labeled the asshole owner like immediately because you haven't earned their respect yet. So
yeah,
it's a fine line that business owners have to walk, especially coming into an existing business. They have to figure out how to establish the correct amount of dominance, but also establish the correct amount of respect that says, I pay your paycheck, but at the same time, you're still human beings. And this is a major transition, and it can be disruptive. It can be fearful. It can be troublesome for the employees. It can be even traumatic for some, depending on the nature of the business and the relationships that are involved. So people really, really, really need to think about that. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. This is why we're here having these conversations.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Anything else before we move on to business partners?
No, no, I think. Oh, well, actually, this is going to be one that's probably applicable for a lot of internal transfers is you might not get as high of a sale price. So you need to have your financial plan cleaned up and know exactly how much you need to sell for in order to make that work.
Mm,
Because you might not get as much from your son as you would from an outside buyer. So I
mm,
think having, oh, I need X amount net of taxes to make my retirement work.
mm.
You need to know that number so that you can make this decision if that's right for you, or if they need to bring in other partners so that they can be able to afford it, so that you can still have a good retirement and get what you need to out of this business that you've built.
Thank you. Good point. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Yes. And they can reference one of our previous interviews. So, uh,
Yeah, for us,
we're,
it always goes back to that.
yeah, yeah.
You need to know the numbers so that you can make smart decisions.
Get the business evaluation if you need to, all the things, right? So,
Yep.
um, cool. Let's move on to business partners. So, selling internally, a business partner would be one option.
Business partners. Yeah. I think what's important here is to make sure you have the trust that they're going to be able to take this over and run with it. And timeline. A lot of times you need to be a little bit more flexible on timeline, how you get paid out. We have a client that owned a manufacturer's representative company. So they were like the middleman between companies like Purell. Purell would give them their product and they'd sell it to restaurants and Walmart and some other places. And they had three managers that they ended up selling to these three managers. And two of the managers ended up failing within the first 3 years. And but the third one took over the company and ran it well and grew it. So that was important because our client that had sold the company had agreed to be paid out over 10 years. So if you're agreeing to be paid out over a long period of time, because your managers might not have the checkbook to be able to to
Hmm.
buy it all at once,
Hmm.
um, then you need to be able to trust that somebody's going to be able to run it well and pay you. If they go under, your payments stop.
Hmm.
So that's really important. And then this owner also had a building that they sold to that in that deal, but it was a separate transaction. So it took actually between the business and the building 17 years for that owner to get paid out, which worked for them because it was sort of like a pension. They continued to get
Hmm.
payments. So for them at work, they were really happy that they were able to sell this business to somebody that they trusted and they liked, and they have a close relationship with the new owner, and so they had a lot of like feel good emotions about that. But they had to be flexible with their timeline, and they had to
Hmm.
really know that at least one of these three managers could keep the business afloat and pay them back over that period of time.
So we have two topics overlapping here. We've got the
Yeah,
business partners and the management team. So three of the people in management then became the business owners. And
yeah.
then
They sold to the management team. Yeah,
two of the business partners dropped out.
yeah,
These, it's so layered and so complex sometimes. So
yeah.
yeah, okay. Yeah, so business partner, selling to a business partner. Again, my assumption is the you're going to get less money if you sell internally. So if you're selling to a business partner, what are they going to evaluate the business at? And
Mhm.
what kind of offer are they going to give you? And
Yeah.
a lot of times it's just pulling numbers out of thin air. When
Mhm.
partners are like, I'll give you this much or buy me out for this much. And then if it sounds like a good number, okay, sure.
Yeah,
Let's get our
yeah,
lawyers on it. And hopefully you have attorneys involved that are
yeah.
helping to make sure everything is above board and legal. But doesn't always happen that way. It's still pretty much the Wild West in business. And I mean, even Skylar talked about it this morning. He was like, how many people have an operating agreement in this room? And very few hands went up, right? So sometimes with solo entrepreneurs, you don't need one, right? But with anybody that has employees and all the things or business partners, it's really great to have one of those in place. And he was like, more often than not, people don't in business have an operating agreement, even with employees. And then our commercial banker was like, yeah, in order for them to get an SBA loan, they have to have an operating agreement, or to get a loan through the bank, period, they have to have an operating agreement. So then they go get one because they don't have one. So it's just, things like that. It, yeah. And I always check with my private clients. Like if I'm working with somebody and they have a business partner, I'm like, is this legally documented? Have you have an
Mhm.
attorney? Did an attorney draw up this agreement? Is it legally binding? Like we need to make sure all these ducks are in a row because I'm thinking of a specific partnership. The one of the owners went super toxic, threatening suicide, all kinds of crazy shit. It was in 24. Um, I had to walk away from that engagement. The other owner almost lost his life to that engagement or to that partnership. So it was like, okay, now get the attorneys involved to draft up a buyout agreement.
Yeah.
Like if you walk away and take your toxic ass with you, here's how much we're going to give you every single year to go bye-bye.
But I'm glad you brought that up. It's so important to have those things in place, and it's so much easier to get them in place when you're not going through this situation.
Right.
And you're in a bad place and you guys aren't agreeing. It's better to get it in place when, you're starting the company, you've got energy, nobody has bad blood or anything.
Hmm.
That'd be
Hmm.
a good time to be able to negotiate and make a plan.
Hmm. Yep. Yeah. I mean, before we even can get to who are we going to sell it to, like,
Yeah.
do you have the right documentation in place? Do you have the right contracts in place? Do you have the right operating agreements in place? Do you have all the buy-sell agreements? Like, do you have all these things? Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and on that point, if you are going to sell and you do have partners, is there anywhere in an operating agreement or is it outlined anywhere how decisions get made? Because what if you're trying to sell to a third party
Mm,
and there's three owners, two want to sell and one doesn't? Are they
mm,
able to override that person or does it just stall and nothing happens? So it's
hmm.
important to outline those things when you're getting close to exit, so that you are able to make decisions.
Yes. So it can be sticky with business partners, and that's where it gets a little sticky sometimes.
Yeah.
Anything else on the business partner side before we go into management?
No, yeah, I guess I just reiterate like timeline and trust and price are kind of the downsides in that. But the upside is if this is, an exit option that you really want and you kind of can feel like you're building more of a legacy because you get to somebody that gets to continue it. So
So, in my opinion, a business partner buying you out is probably the least painful option.
yeah, well, and there's certain industries and certain companies that are just that's the way they know from the get-go. That's the
Mm.
way that it's going to be. I mean, like a law firm, there's always partners. One person's retiring, they get bought out. So, uh, and that happens a lot in financial services. There's a lot of options in our industry too, but a lot of
Mm,
times people want like a younger generation to kind of take it over. So that some industries, it's a common practice to do that.
mm, definitely. I just think about everything that goes into selling externally, and you have to put so much into the business. If it's not ready to sell externally, you have to put so much into it to sell externally, right? So,
Well, and if you're selling to somebody externally, they don't know anything about your company,
mm,
and so that the due diligence process is more painful and more time
mm,
consuming and takes you away from running the business effectively,
yeah,
because you have to get them all these documents, answer all these questions. But if you're selling internally, they ideally already know the business very well.
exactly. If it's a business partner, they already know the business. So, again, in my opinion, that's the easiest handoff. It's like if you got a business partner and can sell your part of it to them, that's the easiest way to go. Um, the other ones are a little bit more complicated. So, cool. Management team. What does it look like if a business owner wants to sell to their management team?
Well, that's kind of the example that I gave about the three managers taking over.
Hmm.
So it's kind of similar to the partners taking over. It's just they're not already in that role, so you have to have a little bit more discussion about, are these people ready to take over? Similar to the family, do they have the skill
Hmm.
set?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then, yeah, if you pay out over time, are they going to be able to keep the company running? And you're going to be able to get this over time.
Hmm. Yep. I automatically think of some specific challenges that can come with management shifting into ownership. That can be cultural, so internal issues within the culture and within the staff. Like, oh, this person just went from almost being our equal to now owning the company. And there can
Yeah,
be some interpersonal relationship issues there.
yeah,
But there's pros and cons to either one. It doesn't matter which route you're going to go, there's pros and cons to all of them. So it's just being able to really think through and identify what are the pros and cons and who are the advisors slash experts that I can lean on that see these kind of things on a regular basis, where they're only dealing with it once in their lifetime. People like you and I deal with these things on a regular basis. So it's easier to pick Skylar's brain or to pick your brain or to pick mine or other advisors in the exit space. So, yeah, wisdom. Wisdom is the word that keeps coming up inside of me
yeah,
of like,
yeah.
seek wisdom. Yes, please, 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 no matter what you're doing, seek wisdom. Okay.
Yeah, I think a
So,
lot about, if you became a new owner and you used to be a manager, you can't exactly go to the people that are now your employees or are under you and say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing." You have to show the leadership. So
Mhm.
that's one thing I really like about that you run mastermind groups because I think
Mm,
if you're a new owner, that could be a really great thing for you to be involved in is a
mhm,
group where you're surrounded by peers and you can say, "Hey, I've got this challenge. I don't know exactly how to deal with it. It's
mhm,
something new to me."
mhm.
But you don't, then you can come back and you've already talked to people and you're in a better place before you face your employees and talk through it
Yeah,
there. So you can be more confident in your leadership.
definitely. So, my growth strategies mastermind is the right place for that if they're in the Denver area. So I do not have an online version for that one at this time,
Yeah.
but if they're in the Denver area, that one meets twice a month and it is solely focused on growth. And that's for people that are truly in growth phase that don't even have exit on the horizon. So it's it's a really powerful environment to, okay, let's see how I can surround myself with like-minded individuals and gain the wisdom that I need to gain in order to grow this business successfully and to be the right leader and to do all the things. So, very, very important who is feeding you information and what information is coming at you. So, just be careful with that. But I do encourage any new business owners to get the support that they need and surround themselves with other people that are like-minded, like a mastermind, because it's going to give them the support. The last thing you want to do is be left to your own thoughts,
Yeah.
because we all know that our own thoughts can take us down weird places, dark places, destructive places, really good places, but you don't want to be left to your own thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's so nice when you can be able to talk through something with somebody that's been through that too. And other
Hmm.
business owners and then the professionals, like you said, that deal with this many times. Um, it's good
Hmm.
to have that support, especially if you're
Hmm.
somebody that wasn't an owner and now you're stepping into that role.
Hmm. Definitely. So let's move on to employees. Is this where we have the stock option conversation?
Yeah. Yeah. So an option that's is popular to explore right now. It's still a very small minority of the exits are ESOPs, employee stock ownership plan. And it's a little complicated, so I won't get into the nitty gritty, but uh,
Just an overview.
basically, you're selling your um, stock to a trust that is on behalf of the employees. So it's a retirement program for the employees, and then you are able to kind of take cash off the table, take chips off the table, and then the employees are owners. So a lot of times companies do really well when they are set up in this structure because the employees are very bought in. I'm an owner too, and feel very involved. But it like there it has to be right for your exit. One major thing that I would be like, oh, you probably shouldn't consider this is if you want to be out tomorrow. You're like, oh, I want to sell, I want to get out of the business, I want um, to just to be done. This probably isn't the best option. It's usually better suited for a gradual exit. Um,
So
and then another,
what kind of time frame are we looking at, right? So um, in exit strategies, I love to work with businesses that are 1 to 10 years out of exit. Now, if they're going to implement the employee stock ownership plan, how many years of a runway do we need for that to be successful?
yeah. I would say at least 3 to 5, and in that case, there should be like clear successors in place because it's not a third party coming in and
Hmm.
replacing you.
Hmm.
So you'd need to have somebody within the company that's going to run it when you fully leave.
Mm.
But a lot of times the owner, like you can do smaller percentages of selling it to the ESOP to start. So you could sell like 30% of the business and still
Hmm.
stay on, and then you are able to take some cash and reinvest it, diversify if you have everything that you own inside this business, and then you're growing with your employees too. They're excited about what's going on.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would have a longer runway like that, and then internal potential successors. It's like it could be an option if you have strong management team, but they don't have the funds to have you exit fully and pay you. So it's another option for making that work is
Hmm.
so that they can take over and become the CEO and maybe even partial owner, but they don't have to buy the whole business from you.
Excellent. Awesome. Thank you for explaining that. I appreciate it. And then, in case of death and your spouse inherits the business, this is something that Skylar talked about this morning in Growth Strategies Mastermind. Um, yeah, even if you have all of your documents in place, your procedures in place, everything is legally buttoned up, and then guess what? You die and your spouse inherits. That can be an absolute disaster. It could be a good thing if your spouse is prepared for it, but most of the time they're not. So, for instance, this scenario could be your wife is a stay-at-home mom, and all of a sudden, like you're gone, and guess who inherits the business because you didn't put into place the right plan, the right succession
Yeah.
planning, or the right in case of death, here's what happens.
Yeah.
Um, so your wife is going to be left with not only the grief of the loss of you, but also this massive headache of, I'm a freaking housewife. What do I do with this? Now,
Yeah.
is there occasional badass that rises up within the housewife and she can take over the business and run it? Yes, but that's not common. So make sure to think through that in case of your demise, because we're all getting out of here one way. So,
Yeah.
like, in case of your demise, make sure that it's not going to your spouse. Look at a competitor, look at, somebody that you can say, hey, this person could potentially take over the business if I die suddenly. Make sure you're not burdening your spouse with it, please. Um,
Yeah.
that, no.
Well, and even if it like the proceeds are supposed to benefit your spouse, and you plan to sell it, somebody needs to be tagged to be able to run it while
Hmm.
it's getting ready to sell.
Hmm.
Because if you were, and we've talked about this before, but it's all intermingled and it's all involved. But if you're a business owner and you touch everything, you do all the sales, you're involved in operations, you're at the office all day, long time, and making sure everybody does what they're supposed to do, and you have no leaders. If something happens to you and you can't show up to work the next day, the business is going to tank, and then what you sell is going to be sold at a way discounted price.
Hmm.
So your
Hmm.
wife
Hmm.
or husband, whatever the case might be, um, is not going to get as much out of the business as they should. So if you have if you start to build like leadership, and this is part of a succession plan,
Hmm.
if knowing, there is something that could happen, you could become disabled, you could die. There's a lot of situations that could happen that you need to be prepared for.
Hmm.
And having other people in the business that know, where the passwords are, what's going on,
Hmm. Hmm.
and can keep one thing I heard about was payroll. Can somebody else do payroll? If your employees are not getting paid, they're not continuing to show up.
Yeah,
So
you
yeah, I
should
think
have
it's
a payroll
very
company for that.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, still somebody on site usually needed to do
So,
something.
yeah. So somebody internally that handles it, or a payroll company, or an accountant that is a bookkeeper, they can handle payroll sometimes. So it really depends, but it's something that people don't look at because a lot of us like to deny the fact that we're going to die someday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is one to think about. Please do not leave your spouse with a massive burden. Just please don't. Um, and yeah, there is the occasional badass that can rise up and handle it, but so, anything else? Internal options for selling.
No, I think that's about it.
Cool, awesome. All right, let's go on to external. External is usually a bit more obvious. Um, let's start with competitors.
Yeah, so I usually think about external sales as either a financial buyer or a strategic buyer. And so your competitors would fall in that strategic buyer camp. So that's anyone that has like a strategic benefit from running the company. So your competitors would maybe get your market share. Maybe you do something better than them. Maybe you have a better technology that you've integrated, and they want to buy you for that reason. And because of that, they often pay a higher premium than just the solely financial buyers, which is more like a private equity firm or someone like
Mm-hmm.
that. So the strategic buyer can be a really good option for people. And if we always start exit planning discussions with figuring out, what's most important to you. And if getting the most money for selling your business is important to you, I'd probably go debt external option and then strategic if possible. If there's a strategic buyer, a competitor that that wants to buy your secret sauce, that can often be a really good option if
Mm-hmm.
the finances is the most important part to you.
There are plenty of business owners out there that love making acquisitions. Absolutely love it. And I know plenty of them myself. So, yeah. So, thank you for identifying that you're going to get a higher premium through selling to your competitors. So, I appreciate that. And yeah, that's a fun one. If you can find the right competitor that loves acquisitions or is looking to acquire, yeah. Okay. Anything you want to add there about competitors?
I would say, I mean, I always believe in working with professionals. And if you're working with a business broker, investment banker, I think you're always going to benefit from working with a really good professional. I would say it's almost more important, though, if you're looking at selling to a competitor or a strategic buyer, because they can run the process in a way where you're not giving away too much too soon. Many deals fall apart. So you don't want to give all the details away and not have a professional running that process for you. So I think that's especially important in that case.
Okay, so don't let them steal your secret sauce, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of investment bankers or business brokers will start like teasing the company without a lot of details. So, you get to a point where they have a lot of interest before you give away uh,
Hmm.
any of that private information that you're not wanting to have out there in case, this doesn't move forward.
So here's something I'm going to drop out there just in selling externally. SDR Ventures is my M&A partnership. And if your business is at 10 million revenue or above, they will headhunt for you for a fee. So they'll go look for businesses that want to buy yours. Like it's really cool the service that they offer, but you have to be at 10 million and above for them to do that for you. But that's another option that people aren't aware of. So with the investment banks or M&A, same things. Both labels fit with SDR Ventures. That's their cat or their starting point for we'll look for buyers for you.
Yeah.
We'll go search your competitors for you, but you have to be at 10 million revenue to start that process.
Yeah, and I've talked to owners who want to do it themselves, and it's just you're going to be able to recoup your pay or your fee just by having someone create more of a competitive tension. If they have the time to
Hmm.
go out and find multiple buyers and can
Hmm.
kind of show that there's a lot of interest in your business, you're going to get a much higher sales price. And if
Hmm.
you're trying to do that all yourself, again, with what I said, like if you're looking to sell your business, you need to keep your sales up, you need to keep your revenue or your profit up.
Hmm.
Um, so if you're trying to sell your business and do everything on your own, you're not going to be able to keep the financials attractive and command
Hmm.
a higher premium. So I think
Hmm.
that's one area where you definitely don't want to DIY it.
Yeah, definitely. So the external options, competitors, we've covered that. No VCs, venture capital. So let's take it away. Let's cover that topic.
Yeah, and for like so the financial buyers could be VCs or often for more mature business it'd be private equity.
Hmm.
But they what they want to do is buy your business kind of at as good a price as they can get, and then 3 to 5 years from them or whatever is their timeline, they're going to try to sell it to another company, another private equity company. I mean, they have a fund and they have certain rules they need to follow and return they need to get to their investors. And so I still think like you could get a higher premium selling to a private equity firm than you could, you know, often selling to your children.
Hmm.
Um, but it's less than the strategic buyer often. I think you have to kind of see what's going on in your industry, and
Hmm.
some industries there's a lot of strategic activity, and some industries there's just a ton of private equity activity. So
Hmm.
um, it's important to kind of talk to someone who knows your industry and find out that information too. But
Yeah, and that's where it's important to start talking with the investment banks and
mhm.
like SDR
Yeah,
Ventures, talking to SDR Ventures and saying, hey, guess what? Um, what who's buying my industry right now? So
yeah,
that's when I have a private client and I take them for a meeting, a consultation with Jeff, that's part of the conversation is who's buying their industry and how do we prepare for that buyer? So, and then the multiples vary based on the industry and then where they're at in their industry. So, um, yeah, you always want to make sure don't guess at it. Don't be like, "Ooh, I think private equity is going to want my business," where it actually might be a competitor that's buying your industry. So, um, you want to figure it out. Talk to your favorite investment banker. If it's not SDR, talk to your favorite investment banker and ask them who's buying my industry because they have their finger on the pulse. That is their lane of expertise, and they know who the buyers are. They know who wants specific industries and which industries are hard to sell and which ones are easier to sell. So, very important conversation to have.
yeah, definitely.
Mm. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
Um, I guess I'd just reevaluate or reiterate, figure out what's important to you because that is really going to help you navigate figuring out what's the best
Mhm.
exit option for you. Is it the
Mhm.
finances? Is it, to your point earlier about selling to partners, might be one of the smoothest transactions,
Mhm.
especially if you get along with your partners. Um, and so I think figuring out what's most important to you. Is it, your legacy? Is it, um, pat, the smoothness of it or the finances? Those are important things to consider. Um, another another thing to think about is if legacy is really important to you, but you don't have an internal candidate that is qualified and wants to take over the business and experience, there's ways to do that even with selling to a third party. You can invest in what your kids want to do. If they want to start their own business, if you sold to a third party, you can build your legacy that way. Or
Mm,
I've heard of people doing it like through donor advised funds. They set up a fund and they can have their grandchildren dictate what charities that they want money to go to and get them involved that way. And so your legacy doesn't have to be your business. I know kind of saying goodbye to something that you've built up can be very difficult, but there's a lot of ways to build a legacy with what you've built, and some of them could be financial if you do sell to a third party.
mm. I love that. Thank you. I think that's a great place to close. This has been a wonderful episode. Um, yeah, think outside the box. So that's what I'm hearing is think outside the
Yeah.
box. So I love that. That's how I think. And it feels it feels like it kind of hit the heart at the very end. It's like there's ways to leave a legacy that's not black and white. So talk to your financial advisors like Rachel and figure that out. There's options, right? And this is why it's so important to seek wisdom outside of yourself because none of us know everything. And some of us are uniquely gifted and skilled to think outside the box in a very specific way. So I appreciate that you brought that into it of leaving the legacy. Um, some people do, some people don't, but for those that do, it will probably pull on their heartstrings of, oh, there's more than one way to do this.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for being back with us. And I am looking forward to continuing the conversation. Once again, this has been wonderful. It's been informative. It's just, yeah, I hope all of our listeners get something from it. Definitely.
Thank you. I love talking with you, Misty. So I'm
Aw,
great.
big heart from mine to yours. Yes. And the other thing I'm going to say real quick is that women can be a badass in business. And I think Rachel and I are proving that. Like, it's not standard in in our industry specifically for women to know all these details about the exit strategies and exit planning, but here we are. So, um, yeah, please don't judge us just because of our gender.
Yeah.
We do know stuff. So, anyway, all right. Hope I made you guys laugh. Yeah, not meant to be super serious, but thank you all for being a wonderful audience. Thank you, Rachel, for being a part of our podcast. This is wonderful, and these are timeless episodes that will stand for a very long time. So, thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, you heard it here. Exit options, internal and external. Save it, download it so you can go back to it and replay it over and over again. And we will see you guys again very, very soon. Make it a wonderful week, day, night, morning, whatever it is, whenever you're listening to this, but make it a great one. Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.